You wake up, and the ceiling is the first thing you see. You don't move. You don't check your phone. You just lie there, staring at nothing, feeling heavy in a way you can't explain to anyone because you're not even sure you understand it yourself. You're not the first human to wake up and not want to get out of bed. You're just the first one doing it alone. For most of human history, depression didn't have a name. There was no diagnosis, no medication, and no therapy session at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. But the feeling was real. The weight was real. Humans have been carrying it for at least as long as we've been human. So what did they do with it? Hunter-gatherer societies had almost none of the things we consider basic treatments for depression. No antidepressants, no cognitive behavioral therapy, no journaling prompts, and no weighted blankets. Yet researchers studying modern hunter-gatherer groups often report something fascinating. Depression, as we experience it in the modern world, appears to be far less common. So either ancient humans were built differently, or something about modern life changed the equation. Let's find out what. To understand that, we first need to understand what depression actually is. Not what it feels like, but what it is biologically and why a brain would produce it in the first place. In 2006, psychiatrist Paul Gilbert argued that depression may not simply be a malfunction. It may be an ancient adaptation. His theory suggests that low mood evolved as a signal, a stop mechanism, when the environment became dangerous, when social status dropped, or when loss and stress became overwhelming. The brain slowed everything down. It made you withdrawn, quiet, and cautious. In a world where one wrong decision could mean death, a brain that forced you to stop and reassess may have increased your chances of survival. Depression, in that sense, was not necessarily your brain failing you. It was your brain attempting to protect you. The problem is that the environment changed, but the brain did not. The first thing ancient humans had that we don't was movement. Not exercise, movement. There's a difference. Exercise is something many people schedule. Ancient humans moved constantly because survival required it. They tracked animals, gathered food, carried water, built shelters, and traveled between camps. Their bodies were in motion for hours every day without thinking about it. Modern research has repeatedly shown a strong connection between physical activity and improved mental health. Studies suggest that regular exercise can significantly reduce symptoms of depression. Ancient humans weren't exercising to improve their mood. They were simply living in a way that naturally provided the benefits we now try to recreate intentionally. Their baseline was our prescription. The second thing they had was sunlight. Before walls, offices, and screens, humans spent most of their waking hours outdoors. Natural sunlight plays an important role in regulating mood and supporting healthy brain chemistry. Ancient humans received hours of sunlight every day, simply by existing in their environment. Today, many people spend most of their day indoors under artificial lighting. We built roofs to stay warm. We built offices to work more efficiently. We built technology to make life easier. But in doing so, we also reduced our daily exposure to one of the most important environmental signals our brains evolved to expect. The third thing ancient humans had, perhaps the most important of all. They were rarely alone with their suffering. Social isolation is now recognized as a major health risk. Humans evolved as deeply social creatures. For most of history, there were no apartments to disappear into and no bedrooms to lock yourself inside. You lived surrounded by people who knew your name, knew your history, and noticed when something wasn't right. When an ancient human struggled, the group saw it, not through a text message or a social media post, but face to face, around a fire that same night. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner documented how evening storytelling among the Jew Hoanzi people served a much deeper purpose than entertainment. These nightly conversations helped communities process conflict, fear, grief, and tension together. The emotions of the day had somewhere to go. Your brain at 2 in the morning, replaying the same thought over and over, is trying to do something similar. It is trying to process. The difference is that it is doing it alone. Ancient humans evolved in environments where difficult emotions were shared, witnessed, and absorbed by the group. Archaeological evidence suggests that even Neanderthals may have practiced intentional burial rituals. Bodies were carefully arranged, objects were placed beside them, and signs of ritual behavior appear in several ancient sites. Whether this represents grief exactly as we understand it today is impossible to know, but it strongly suggests emotional attachment, loss, and remembrance. Across many hunter-gatherer cultures, responses to death and suffering were communal. The Hadza sing, the Baka hold ceremonies. Communities gather, mourn, and express grief together. Emotions are given structure. They are acknowledged, witnessed, and shared. Compare that to the modern experience. One person alone in a room, trying to process silently so they don't burden anyone else. Ancient humans approached suffering differently, not because they were emotionally stronger, but because their social structure made shared processing unavoidable. Here's the difficult part. We have solved many of the problems our ancestors faced. We have medicine, heating, food security, and access to information beyond anything they could imagine. Yet depression remains one of the most common mental health challenges in the world. Hundreds of millions of people live with it today. We fixed the cold. We fixed the famine. We fixed many of the predators. Then we went inside and unintentionally created environments our brains were never designed for. Ancient humans didn't have a cure for depression because they never created many of the conditions that make it so widespread today. They moved every day without scheduling it. They spent hours in natural sunlight. They sat together around fires. They told stories. They cried together. They shared grief rather than hiding it. Their daily lives naturally included many of the things modern science now recognizes as important for mental well-being. Today, we often take medication to increase serotonin. Ancient humans stepped outside. Today, we schedule appointments to have someone witness our struggles. Ancient humans lived in communities where witnessing happened automatically. Today, loneliness is something many people struggle to explain. Ancient humans rarely experienced enough isolation for it to take root in the same way. We are not weaker than our ancestors, and we are not broken. We are ancient brains living inside a modern structure that was never designed for us. The most radical thing you can do in a world built around isolation, productivity, and silent suffering is surprisingly simple. Go outside. Move your body. Sit with someone tonight. Tell them how you actually are. Not fine, actually. That's not just self-help advice. It's thousands of generations of human experience. It's 300,000 years of working software. We just forgot to run it.